Hey guys, welcome to the second part of my video on siding with Spellbooks for the January 2014 format. So kicking off from where we left off last time, sorry. But before I do that, I'm going to just give you a recap of everything. So the side deck is cards which I feel are going to be relevant in the format. It's ordered from the most threatening decks to what I consider the least threatening decks for Spellbook. Up here we've got the side deck options. So we left off at Necro Valley, so we'll continue at Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, which is obviously here because of Spellbooks. So siding in for the mirror match, Kaiku's an excellent choice. Definitely the way to go. It stops High Priestess and it also stops Spellbook of Fate. Spellbook of Fate is at 1, so you'll probably mostly be stopping High Priestess with Kaiku, and you probably won't see Spellbook of Fate as much. But Kaiku is still a really good card to side. It also stops Spellbook of Life plays because they can't banish for that, and also you can just remove their Spellbook of Life targets anyway. Other cards which are good to side are Breaker. Breaker is okay to side, especially if they've got Spellbook of Fate. Summon Breaker, try to pop it and try to force that Spellbook of Fate out. Veiler is excellent as well. If they're going first and they go for Magician, and they really need their Magician effect and you Veiler it, you can win games. Other cards like Creature Sub is okay, but Spellbook of Wisdom is a card. Dark Hole's not really too good. Kaiser Colosseum also not too good. MST is good for the mirror match. You can set it when you've got your tower face up, and if they try to activate their tower, you can MST it when it's trying to resolve. So that's pretty good there. Soul Release is also a decent card. You can banish their Spellbook of Eternities and Spellbook of Fate as well. And you don't want to banish the Grand Spellbook Tower though. You want to leave that in their graveyard. So if they have trouble sort of clearing their graveyard for Spellbook Library for Crescent, so beware of that. Don't banish the Grand Spellbook Tower, leave that in their graveyard. But you do want to banish Spellbook of Eternity. Spellbook of Fate is okay to banish, and other cards. Try not to banish Spellbook of the Master as well, because generally they want that banished for when you go Eternity, Master, copy Eternity, get Secrets, Power, Fate, Tower, or whatever. So try to avoid that. Other cards like Breakthrough Skills sort of okay if they don't have the Wisdom, but it's not too good. Chain Disappearance isn't really too good either. I wouldn't really recommend siding that. DNA Surgery for the matchup, for the mirror match, sorry, not very good. If they are playing the Priestess variant, you can consider playing Light Prisoner Mirror if you're playing a Kaiku and Breaker Beatdown version, but I wouldn't recommend that too much. The card which I would recommend is Mind Crush. Mind Crush is very excellent in the mirror match. Most of the time you know half the cards in the Spellbook player's hand, so Mind Crush is almost never dead. Retort is also an amazing card in the mirror match. Set Retort, if you're going first, use your secrets, your master, all of your cards, set Retort, pass turn, let them use their secrets, use Retort, add back your secrets and negate their secrets, so it's very good. You do need to beware of you removing your Spellbook of Fate fodder in that instance, but I mean, just going +1 and stopping their secrets is just really amazing and probably worth it. Rivalry, obviously not too good. Shadow, not very good. Soul Drain, not good. The Transmigration Prophecy, very good. Returns Spellbook of Fate fodder, and also return Spellbook of the Master targets like Eternity, Secrets, and Power. And also the library, Spellbook Library for Crescent, and it also clears out your graveyard for your Spellbook Library for Crescent, so it's pretty good. And Dust Tornado for the same reason as MST. So the next deck is Madolche. So Madolche, you're probably going to see a lot of play when Primal Origin hits on Dueling Networks, so that's when Madolche Angeli comes out, which is going to give the deck a lot of competitive viability. So definitely expect to play Madolche once Primal Origin hits. And against Madolche you can side a number of different things. You can side Kaiku, because Kaiku stops Hoot Cake from banishing, so Kaiku is okay. World is okay as well if you're not already maining it, because Madolche like to have a ticket and a chateau, so it's really just easy for them to blow up with World. Breaker is pretty good because they like to play a lot of back row, so you consider a Breaker. Veiler and Maxi particularly are really good against Madolche. Veiler Youthful, which is the cat, I believe, the red cat, and you can also Maxi it. Youthful is really sort of like the weakness of the deck and what you really want to pinpoint on, because if you Veiler and Muthul, they're left with a very weak monster, or if you maxi, they're sort of left, you know, in a really bad position. Let's make an OTKU, and hopefully you have answers for that. Book of Eclipse is okay as well. If they summon Tiramisu, you use Book of Eclipse with it face down, and during your next turn make sure you destroy Tiramisu or you have an answer for her. Creature Swap is really not too good. Dark Hole, for the same reason as Book of Eclipse, it's a potentially good card. Normally they summon a Tiramisu and they have an Invoker in the field and maybe another card, so Dark Hole's not really too bad there, but you probably do want to MST that ticket, because they will just be adding those cards back to their hands if you Dark Hole and they've got like a Gelato on the field or Hoot Cake and they've got a ticket, they'll just search it, and if they've got Chateau they'll just add it back to their hand. Kaiser Colosseum is really good against them, so is Dimensional Fissure. The Prison Graveyard's kind of okay as well, but not really too good. MST I just covered before, it's really good, especially in the field spell war, because your tower is going to be going to battle with their Chateau a lot. Shared Ride is kind of okay, I wouldn't really consider signing it too much. Soul Drain is okay to banish Hoot Cake's fodder, but they can set up that fodder very easily with Angeli on their turn, so I wouldn't recommend it. Big Burn is okay as well. I actually think Big Burn is a pretty good side against them, because once they do go for that Hoot Cake, you can Big Burn them. Actually, I'll double check that, because I think Hoot Cake is a cost, so you might not be able to do that, but I'll double check it. I think you can. Curse Seal's okay, negate ticket, negate Chateau, but mostly ticket, it's okay. Chain Disappearance is very good against Angeli, also, what's his name, Muthul. They've got a lot of weak monsters, which is sort of key to their deck, especially Angeli, and if you Chain Disappearance it'll be really good, and they won't be able to go for their play so easily. What else is really good? DNA Surgery, not too good, but that does bring me to a card which is really good, which is Rival of the Warlords. They run a Warrior in Gelato, Beast in Muthul and Croissant, Spellcaster in Mangeline. I believe Angeli is a fairy, but you can correct me on that. So they run quite a lot of different types, and Rival of the Warlords is very effective against them. Definitely worth siding. Mind Crush is also okay, because they like to search off of Mangeline and Ticket, so Mind Crush is okay there. Soul Drain is kind of okay, because it stops their effects from returning to the deck, but I wouldn't really recommend siding it too much. And Dust Tornado for the same reason as MST. So for Constellars, Constellars is, like, to give a little brief background on Constellars, because this is a tricky one to side against. Constellars can be effective and not effective against Spellbook. It really depends on who's been able to set up and who has the most advantage first. If you don't have many cards and you're playing Spellbook, and by many cards I mean you don't have enough resources to really deal with or play these, it can get really annoying, because they can just play these, bounce back your Magician, and you can't even set up, you can't even use Master or whatever. On the flip side to that, if you're going first, you're playing Spellbooks, you have a Fate face down and a couple of back row, you really don't you really don't fear to play these too much, especially if they search Cast and you've got a Mind Crush. But getting into the side deck choices, you can side Breaker, because Constellar can side cards which really do hurt, like DNA Surgery. So Breaker is pretty good. If you're not main in Breaker, definitely consider siding it in general. You can side Veiler, when they go Pollux, Normal Summon, Chaos effect increase Pollux, Chaos effect increase himself. You could Veiler that, and Pollux is a level 5 and Chaos will be a level 4. So they won't be able to XYZ, so they'll probably just set and end their turn, and it'll give you some time before having to deal with play these. Also, Book of Eclipse is an okay card as well. Being able to stop that sort of Pollux and Chaos play is okay. Creature Swap, pretty good. If you have Magician on the field and they've got Pleiades and you go Creature Swap, they're probably going to detach and bounce back their Pleiades, because what they'll do is that they'll know that Creature Swap requires both monsters to be on the field when it's resolving. So if one of the monsters isn't on the field, it won't resolve properly. So they'll just bounce back their Pleiades rather than bouncing back your Magician and giving you your card back, and Creature Swap won't resolve. So basically the Pleiades will screw itself over basically, and it'll get rid of itself for you, and it only requires one card to do that, so Creature Swap is pretty good. Dark Hole is excellent against Pleiades. They summon the first turn Pleiades, set a couple, hopefully not a Lance. Your turn, draw Dark Hole, and they'll probably bounce back a Tenki if they have it, but it gets rid of that Pleiades on the field. So Dark Hole is an option. Kaiser Colosseum is kind of okay. I wouldn't really recommend it too much. MST is pretty good because they do rely on Tenki to get that Chaos. Other cards like Breakthrough Skill is pretty good against Constellar Pleiades, and it's also actually pretty good against Evil Swarm Ovion, because Breakthrough Skill will force out both of their infestation pandemics. Whilst against Pleiades we have no real defense against it except for Forbidden Lance. Or maybe Constellar Omega. If they have that on the field, then they have a defense against it. But otherwise, Breakthrough Skill is pretty good against Constellar. Definitely, probably better than Veiler because it negates it twice. So you can negate the Chaos, it goes to the graveyard. If they get a Pleiades out later, then during your turn, just Breakthrough Skill it, and it'll be pretty good. Curse Seal is pretty good against Fire Formation Tenki, and I almost forgot about this card. Lion Prisoner Mirror shuts them down completely. Excellent card to side against Constellars, so I'll definitely recommend siding Lion Prisoner Mirror. And Mind Crush is kind of okay for the Tenki, and Transmigration Prophecy could stop Constellar Sombres. Moving on, we've got Fire Fist Bear. My voice is getting a little bit dry, so I'm just going to take a sip of water. So getting on to Fire Fist Bear, which I've got here, obviously to represent Fire Fist, which is mostly the 4-axis variant. Kaiku's not really too good. If you're main decking Kaiku, you probably want to side that out against Fire Fist because it's really not too good. It can disrupt Wolfberg plays, but generally it's not that good. World of Prophecy is excellent against Fire Fist because Fire Fist have to sort of commit a lot to the board in order to sort of function properly when they use their bear to search. So if they go Tenki bear, attack directly, set Tenki, pass turn, and then you go wild, blow up that Tenki they just searched and get rid of their bear is pretty good. That's kind of what I meant by committing to the board. They just, they don't really add to the hand except with Tenki. With Tiger King they have to set it. Bear, they have to set it. Gorilla, they have to set it. Dragon, they set traps, so they have to commit to the board. So Wild is very, very effective against Fire Fist. So Temperance, obviously, with the Wild, you would side both of these in against Fire Fist if you're not already maining it. Breaker is really good against them as well because, again, if they go for Bear and they've already used Tenki and they set a Tenki, you can summon Breaker, pop that Tenki they haven't used yet, use a power attack over that Bear. Or, as well, I should point this out, if you have Breaker and you think your opponent, a 5-fist player, has, let's say Dragon, and they searched a 10-cent, and they don't have a Tenki on the field for whatever reason, and you have Breaker, it's very important to summon Breaker, use the effect to gain a counter, which is mandatory anyway, keep the counter on Breaker, use power, attack, search, and then use Breaker, because it's very important. That 300 attack difference can decide games. It's happened to me before where I've just gone remove a counter, pop, and then I just realised, oh crap, I really needed that 300 attack to get over this monster, because I know, well actually I didn't know he had a 10-cent, but I realised afterwards that he probably has a 10-cent. I attacked and he had a 10-cent, and that was pretty much it. So it's very important to remember with that 300 attack, Breaker can gain and can really decide games. Veiler is very, very, very good. I think I crashed again, so I'll probably cut the video here. Sorry about this. This is twice in 2 videos, but I'll cut the video here and I'll resume shortly. Hey, welcome back guys, sorry about that. So we were discussing Fire Fist and what to side against them, and I believe I got to Veiler. So Veiler is really effective against Bear, Dragon, Gorilla, Tiger King, all of those monster effects, especially Wolfberg. So Veiler is really effective there. Maxi is okay as well against Dragon and Wolfberg. But it's not really too good of a side. Other cards which you can side, Kaiser Colosseum is kind of okay, but beware of Gorilla. so I wouldn't really side it. MST, amazing to side against them. It gets rid of those annoying side deck cards which are going to side against you, like DNA Surgery, and they might even side Mistake against you. I have seen it before. So MST and Dust Tornado are excellent choices. Not Riding Together, Shared Ride, because it was called Card Pool / Riding Together, so I sometimes call it that, but Shared Ride is okay as well. I wouldn't really consider siding it too much. Breakthrough Skill for the same reason as Effect Veiler. Other cards, Curse Silver Forbidden Spell, definitely a good option against Firefist. Cool 5 Operation Tenki, when you negate it, discard the spell is pretty good, and you get to discard the Dead Crescent or whatever. DNA Surgery is also pretty good. Cool Spellcasters also gets rid of their DNA Surgery's effect, so that's pretty good. Mind Crush is very effective against them as well. When they go Tenki, search Bear, Mind Crush it, and you also get to look at their hand, so it's very good. Apart from that, that's pretty much it. I mean, you could use Transmigration Prophecy on Wolfbird and Dragon, and you could also obviously use the Dust Tornado as I mentioned before. And also Trap Tricks, Trap Hole Nightmare. I've sort of forgotten to talk about this card as I've been going along, but you can use this on the Tiger King, so you can consider siding it, but I wouldn't really side it too much. And the next one is Blackwing Armor Master, so that's obviously here to represent Blackwings. Blackwings, not really too much of a deck which you need to look out for. A lot of these decks here you don't really need to look out you don't need to look out for too much, because Spellbooks generally have a good matchup against these decks in the first place. So you really don't need to be too careful what you side. As long as your deck can still function, you should probably still be winning. So get into Blackwings. Kaiku is amazing against them. Banish all those Bayous and Shuras and all of that stuff. It's pretty good. You've also got Wild Prophecy, which is pretty good. They like to use Black Whirlwind, so if you could just blow up all of the Black Whirlwinds and whatnot, it's pretty good. And the Icarus attacks and stuff. Breaker is pretty good as well to pop Black Whirlwind. It also gets over a lot of their monsters. In particular, it's really good against Icarus attack if you summon Breaker, and that's the only card which you have because they can't chain it. So it's pretty good there. Vader's okay against Shura, but I wouldn't really advise using it because they just simply won't summon with Shura, obviously because of the effect Vader. But it's not really too much of a card which just clinches the game, but it's still pretty decent side against them. Mind Crush is very good. Once they go Black Robin, summon Shura, add Kalut, Mind Crush to Kalut, it's all good, in my opinion. What else? Dimensional Fissure stops Kalut, so that's good. Kaiser Colosseum's okay. I wouldn't really recommend siding it too much. Soul Release is pretty good. Soul Release is also pretty good against the Light Sword. I should have said that before, but I think I skipped it. Big Burn is okay, kind of. Rivalry, obviously, in this matchup doesn't do much. Shadow and Prisoner Mirror are amazing against them. Definitely consider siding it. So is this Transmigration Prophecy. Dust Tornado, pretty good as well. And that's pretty much it there that I can really see for now. And obviously you could Curse Seal and call Black Whirlwind, but I wouldn't really side Curse Seal just for that, because it's not really too much of a searchable card, especially especially if they go first, and you know, it won't be too good in that instance. You'll wish you had an MST instead. So one of the last two decks which I want to talk about is Bujin. Bujin is probably going to be a very popular deck once Private Origin hits. It's already picking up popularity just from Legacy of the Valiant, which is going to release Hair and Bujin Arasuda as well. So Bujin overall has a pretty bad matchup against Spellbook, I would say, because the Spellbook of Fate pretty much pip slapping the deck at every opportunity, and also just a drawing and everything. It's really difficult for Bujin to keep up because right now it's kind of a slow deck. But once, I forgot her name, Bujin Hiratumo or something, she banishes a Bujin in your graveyard to special summon herself, the deck is going to get very explosive. So there's going to be sort of two variants. There's going to be the control variant with Vanity's Emptiness and Kaiser Colosseum, and then there's going to be the explosive Bujin variant. But against both of those variants, Kaiku is a very effective card. Kaiku shuts them down like almost completely in terms of using their turtles, their hairs. Bujin the one which I just mentioned before, Arasuda, it shuts that down. It's just really effective. Definitely consider sided Kaiku, and obviously once you deal damage to them, you can banish all their, well, a couple of their turtles and hares and Yamatos they have in their graveyard, so it conflicts with their Bujin relic sword. Also, World is kind of okay because Bujin play quite a bit of back row, like Kaiser Colosseum, Vanities, and stuff like that. Vanities obviously will stop Temperance, but it's not really too much of a loss in my opinion if they flip Vanities, because Spellbooks don't really special summon too much, so they're probably going to side it out later, so you might want to keep your World in. Breaker is really good, but if you're siding Breaker, you really need to make sure that you don't summon it and pop like a Kaiser Colosseum or Vanities Antidust. You really want to pop those really troublesome back row cards like DNA Surgery, Imperial Iron, well not Imperial Iron Rule, Mistake. I've seen that before. I've seen the Bujin player side Mistake, so you kind of want to save your Breaker for those. Effect Veiler's not really too good against Bujin, and neither is Maxi. Creature Swap is pretty good if you've got a Magician on the field, so let's say a Bujin player went first, you're going second, and you summoned a Magician and you Creature Swap it. They can't use Turtle because Creature Swap doesn't target, and they can't use Hair because you're not destroying it, so Creature Swap is pretty good in that aspect. Dark Hole not really too good. Dimensional Fissure pretty amazing. Forbidden Graveyard is okay as well. Kaiser Colosseum not really good. It's a card they generally use. MST is pretty good, especially in Game 2 and Game 3 because they are going to be sided in for DNA surgeries against you. Soul Release is good. I definitely recommend siding Soul Release as an option if you're not siding something else to do with Bujin. Big Burn is also okay. When they go for their swords, you can flip Big Burn and just remove them all from play. Breakthrough Skill's kind of okay, but I wouldn't really recommend it too much. You have Curse Seal with a Forbidden Spell to get rid of their tanky, can consider that. DNA Surgery is pretty good, definitely one of the better sides to side against Bujin, because you flip up DNA Surgery, you call Spellcasters, and Bujinji Turtle, Bujinji Hare, all of them, especially Habakiri, require Beast Warrior Bujin monsters, and that's something to really take note of, that Habakiri requires a Beast Warrior Bujin monster. So if they have, let's say, a Bujin Turtle on the field, you only need to be fearful of an Honest. You don't need to worry about Habakiri if they have it, because they won't be able to use it. Light Imprisoning Mirror is very good as well. Stops their turtles, their hares, Yamatos from activating. But I don't think Light Imprisoning Mirror is really too good against Bujin. That's because I sized it in against Bujin, and you know they still had those 1900 beaters, 2k beaters with Yamato, Mikazuchi, and if you don't have you know your own beaters, you will kind of lose quite quickly to them. So be careful, because even though Yamato can have its effect negated and so can Mikazuchi, they're still rather big beaters. So you do need to beware of that. Mind Crush is excellent against them when they search with Tenki, and when they search with Yamato and with Mikazuchi. You can hit Bujin Carnation, Bujin Swords, Habakiri out of their hands, and you could also hit when they search with Fire Formation Tenki, as I said before. Other cards include Soul Drain. Soul Drain is a so-so card. I'm on the fence about siding Soul Drain against Bujin. It does stop their graveyard effects from activating, but Yamato is still kind of a problem, and it will just keep setting it up until they eventually draw an MST, and suddenly they're going to have a whole bunch of Bujinjis in their graveyard, and it's not going to be looking too good. I'd rather just use Dimensional Fissure and stop them from setting it up in the first place. The Transmigration Prophecy is very good against them. Once they set up their Hair and Turtle, you can just use the Transmigration Prophecy, return them both back. They can try to chain Hair, but that's really no problem. If they try to do that, that's fine. You've wasted your Bujinji Hair, that's no problem. And Dust Tornado is again pretty good for the same reason as MST, to hit DNA Surgery and other cards they'll side against you. And finally we get to the last deck, which I'm going to mention, Noble Knight. Noble Knights really aren't too good against Spellbooks, because they like to summon one monster, which is normally their I've forgotten his name, but that rank 4 that equips a whole bunch of Noble Knight equip spells from the graveyard to himself, and he can also destroy spell and trap cards, I believe, up to the number he has equipped, so that could be sort of a problem, but they're not really too much of an issue because of Spellbook of Fate. You can just use the second effect and you know, set him, and then he loses all of his equips. Even worse, you could creature swap them. I've done this before. It's absolutely devastating to Noble Knights if you creature swap the monster which is equipped with a whole bunch of Noble Knights. Noble Arms. I've done it before when my opponent has had that XYZ monster and has had 5 Noble Arms equipped, and that just won the game because he can't activate any spells. So all he could really do is summon monsters, and his monsters obviously weren't good enough by themselves. They needed a Noble Arm to do something, so he just scooped, he just lost. So Creature Swap is amazing against that deck. Creature Swap your own Magician away and just take the monster that's equipped with a whole bunch of equips, and you basically benefit from all of their hard work. So Creature Swap is amazing there. Other cards, World of Prophecy is pretty good as well. It won't blow up all of their arms because some of them are resistant, and the monster is unlikely to be destroyed because there is a Noble Arms that stops it from being destroyed once per turn, but it's still pretty good for just peeling off some of them. Kaiser Colosseum's kind of okay, but I wouldn't recommend it too much. Dimensional Fission, not too good. Soul Drain is okay when they try to what am I talking about? Soul Drain won't stop their Noble Arms from equipping, so actually disregard that. It's the Transmigration Prophecy, which is actually pretty good. When you destroy their monster and they have the opportunity to re-equip and stuff like that, you can use the Transmigration Prophecy to send them back into the deck. So that's pretty good there. Amnesty hits a couple of them, which is pretty good, but a lot of them do re-equip themselves. And DNA Surgery, I believe, is actually pretty good because a lot of them require warrior monsters. But outside of Creature Swap, there is a card which is really good against them, and that is Light Imprisoning Mirror. Pretty brutal against them because to some extent even Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, because Madolche does change its type to Dark. But Light Imprisoning Mirror just stops it outright. It won't even be able to activate its effect, so that's pretty good. So that's the video, guys. Sorry about my voice, you know, sort of changing halfway during the video because I'm talking for a really long time and my voice is, you know, it's just really cracked up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you guys a lot of ideas for what to decide, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. This is Zero Eruption signing out, and have a nice day.